After they had been welcomed into the class, I volunteered to show the two of them round the academy. From what I'd been told, they were to live in the boys' dormitory for the duration of their stay.
Aren't those the new foreign students?
Why, yes! It's so exciting to have Orientals in attendance. The pale-haired one with the spectacles looks ever so smart, doesn't he?
I find the one with the dark hair to be the more endearing of the two. I may well be tempted to scoop him up and take him home with me. Kobayashi made an exerted effort to pout more with every comment overheard.
This place is full of unusual people, isn't it?
And yet I suspect there are none among them who would want to hear as much from a foreigner.
By the way, it was a real surprise to run into you two again, and an even greater surprise to learn you both want to be detectives.
We're as surprised as you. We were at a complete loss on what to do before Mr. Mackenzie contacted us. We were told he persuaded all the high-ups here to let us enroll.
It was thanks to you, I might add. We owe you a debt of gratitude.
You don't owe me anything. The only thing I did was tell him what happened at the port. You're reaping the rewards of your own actions.
I see. Thank you.
Akachi awkwardly averted his gaze. Abrupt end to the violin. By the by, I meant to ask this before, but isn't Japan far away? What inspired you to come all the way to London?
It's very far, yes. To give you a bit of background, our motherland resumed communicating with the outside world roughly 40 years ago. Before that, the nation had been isolated, and interacting with other nations was expressly forbidden.
As Akachi explained, Kobayashi stopped surveying the area and jumped into the conversation.
One result of our isolationism was becoming painfully aware of how far behind we were once we resumed relations with other countries. This inspired Japan to rework our system into that of an industrial one, with laws based on constitutions of the West. Our justice system, which had long been unfairly weighted to suit the upper classes, was also reformed. I think.
You think rightly. I'm pleased you remembered.
How could I forget after all those lectures I sat through on the boat? Blah!
Things are yet to be perfect, of course. There is no end to the crimes taking place in the shadows. If anything, they're more horrific than they ever were before.
Akachi continued.
Angel saw the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and has been at the forefront of the modernization that has occurred ever since. My aim has been to come here, gain the means to fight against and oppose the crimes in my nation, and return home a fine detective. I should then like to continue using the abilities I've gained in service of my country.
It's the same for me. I want to become a detective like Akachi.
Have you been friends for a while, then?
Not by choice, I assure you.
That's not a very nice way to speak of your ever-so-reliable assistant.
A reliable assistant proves their worth through their actions over words of self-praise. Are you aware of how much of my time I spend cleaning up after you because you keep running headfirst into one altercation after the next?
Don't turn this round on me! Are you aware of how much I clean up after you because you can't be asked to take proper care of yourself? Once something's caught your eye, even food and sleep are cast to the back of your mind. Think about the poor chap who's got to turn to violence to keep you in check.
Violence?
We have an agreement wherein if Kobayashi is able to defeat me, I will obey him. Even mounting a surprise attack is acceptable. I consider it a part of his training.
Kobayashi soured at Akachi's frankness.
It's more than that! Who can best someone who dedicates all hours of the night to training? No, I'm not training. I'm on a bloody fool's errand.
Yet another duo of detectives, but they could not be more different to Holmes and Watson.
And I do hope I'm wrong, Akachi, but in case I'm not, please, show mercy on your schoolmates' class representative. Please?
I thought you knew me better than that.
Whew, that's a relief. I had to believe that even you wouldn't go around telling people off for little things on your first day.
But of course I would. Starting off on the right foot is vitally important in these kinds of matters. Nothing good comes from pampering people.
Oh, right.
Errors must be pointed out and points of improvement plainly declared. Failing to do so would be to neither your nor the other person's benefit.
If you must, but try not to be too aggressive about it.
Goodness, I nearly choked on saliva there. I'm good.
Akachi is an interesting one. He may have us all set to task in no time.
Yep. So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit here. So I have to say he's amazing. And I'll just skip ahead a little until the boob thing is kind of over. And then Kobayashi will stand up for him, because we have a little bit of a Kobayashi scene there. Alright, so he's going to go to Jack. Alright. There's our boy Lupin. Alright. Thanks, dude. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh boy. Do? Bye, Ken-chan. Alright.
Ha! Hold it! Akachi!
I expected better from him. There was no reason to lose his composure over something so asinine.
It's a bit more delicate than that. He's never so much as held hands with a girl, so that must have been quite a shock to the system.
Shock is putting it mildly.
Still, touching her chest by accident like that is just not on!
Watson, would it trouble you if I ask that you not shout such things? I must confess to some embarrassment.
I didn't mean to, Emily.
I can't apologize enough. All of this came about because of my clumsiness.
That point was never up for debate.
I hope you'll forgive him, Emily. He has his flaws, his stubbornness for one, so he has his good and bad days.
Kobayashi puffed out his cheeks and sighed.
Huh. But I'll vouch for his character time and time again. He's a good man. I swear on my life.
Oh, I know he's a good man. All this came about because he genuinely tried to help me. The results may have been unexpected, but his heart was in the right place, and I was grateful.
You're too kind. Try and make friends with him, all right? I'll bet that he wants the same.
Kobayashi then left the classroom in pursuit of Akachi. Alright. I'll let Jack have his thing. Okay. So, we will skip ahead. We have to write in our diary. And now we get to write about our boy.
Perhaps I should write in my diary.
What shall I write about? Kobayashi.
I think I'll write about Kobayashi today. He's such a bright and energetic exchange student who came all the way from the Far East, and he's Akachi's seemingly capable assistant.
Looks like an ordinary girl to me. Well, ordinary as far as here, I'm sure. Never seen a real blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauty in my life.
Oh, but he's not a bad sort with his energy. He's been very responsible. He's constantly watching out for Akachi, a man who takes pride in pushing himself too hard, which must be exhausting for the one who can only stand by his side and watch. I hope we'll become fast friends. Aw, I hope so too, Emily.
Alright. And I actually think the next episode is the Hudson one? I wouldn't want to drink tea made like that. I don't think I've done this choice before, actually.
I wouldn't want to drink any tea made like that. Oh? Why? Well, you know...
This. Okay, so that's an alternative to getting the detective thing up. Interesting.
What if the corpse had some kind of infectious disease? You'd need to handle its blood with the utmost care. A fine point. Though I suppose it's not all bad since you'd be boiling it.
Sure. Okay. So...
I'm going to stop here for now, actually, guys. Skip through all the Hudson stuff, and then bring you back in during the missing man case, just when Emily says, calls out to Akachi and Kobayashi. I don't know if Kobayashi will leave us a note instead of Akachi, but we'll find out, and then after that will be the picnic stuff, so I will see you shortly. Okay, we are in the missing man case, and someone's calling out to me.
Miss Whiteley.
Akachi approached.
Yes?
I do apologize for this, but I think it would be for the best if Kobayashi and I were to split off from the rest of the group.
What? Why?
I would appreciate it if you didn't look quite so sad. I'm not suggesting that the two of us don't want to work alongside you. Rather, if Mr. Mackenzie truly is in danger, then it's possible it will be too late by the time we decode these messages. The two of us intend to try pursuing the case from other angles, in hopes that we can discover anything else that may help us.
So we'll leave the deciphering to your side. Best of luck!
That sounds less like helping and more like dropping the hard work on us. Don't jump to conclusions, Watson. What they're saying makes perfect sense. There are times when it pays to look at a case from a completely different angle.
What shall I do? Call out to them.
Wait, Akachi! Kobayashi! If we are able to decode all the messages, then I'll leave something here for you. Come back, alright?
That might not be such a good idea, Emily. Depending on how serious this turns out to be, we can't afford to leave messages strewn about in the open. There's no telling who might see them.
You raise a fine point.
If you have anything that you need to tell us, leave a message inside this puzzle box.
As he said that, Akachi produced a tiny box that was small enough to fit in the palm of his hand.
My! What a pretty little thing!
Trying to think if there's anything. Well, I'll do this one.
Wow, you brought that with you all the way here?
Of course. No matter where we are, we should never forget the spirit of our nation.
Okay, and then he gives me the instructions. Okay, do that. I have it written down, so.
It won't open if you miss even a single step. And you can't force it to open either. It'll break in that case.
It's as he says. So please, treat it with the utmost care and respect.
Okay. That many? Alright, I'll take good care. Only if you promise to take good care of yourselves, naturally. And meanwhile, we'll do the best we can to decode these messages.
Thank you. We shall pray Mr. Mackenzie is safe.
We'll see you later, and good luck!
Akachi and Kobayashi hurried out of the classroom. Alright, so let's see. I got my notes for what I need to do. Alright, so we're gonna go to the library. And as always, classify documents on major crimes. And then I think, yeah, I gotta let the timer run out here. Boop-a-doo, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Ba-da-da-dum-da-dum-ba-dee. Time's up. Alright. And then my is the answer. And then... Okay, then I have the puzzle box to do. Okay. Move left down. Okay. Move up left. Okay, move right down. And then move up right. I did it! Okay, so this is all that's left of this chapter. So let's see. Do we get a note from Kobayashi, or is it from Akachi again? It's from Akachi again. That's too bad. I would have liked a note from Kobayashi. Okay, in that case, it's picnic time. So, do it again, but not all of it. Okay. Homes. Watch what he's doing. Watson. Watch what he's doing. I think. Yep. Marple. Call out to her. Okay. Lupin. Play a practical joke because he likes those. Those two are so adorable. Instantly distracted. Hudson. Joined in on the fun. Okay, we can start a little bit of Akachi's because Kobayashi's actually there in the beginning.
Akachi was with Kobayashi when I last checked.
I surveyed the park and quickly spotted him still leisurely sitting along the grass. As I began to draw closer, however, Kobayashi met eyes with mine and put his finger on his lips.
Is it alright if he rests some more? It's not every day he relaxes like this, so I'm sure he's built up exhaustion, something fierce.
Oh. He'd somehow managed to fall asleep sitting up, his knees hunched chest high. But even tired as he was, he still had his katana propped against his shoulder, as if he were well on his guard.
I'd like to go tour the park, so stay with him. If you don't mind, that is.
Without waiting for an answer, up he went and disappeared.
Oh! Kobayashi!
Oh well. Since I'm here, I will watch him sleep. Okay. And finally, track down that boy, and we'll try a couple of different options with him. I kind of feel like the one that we've done is the only one that'll work, but we'll see.
Kobayashi was lazing around next to Akachi not long ago. I wonder if he's still there.
I surveyed the park and quickly spotted him in the exact spot he was before.
Right. So if I tweak it like this...
What are you doing, Kobayashi?
Oh, Emily! I'm tinkering with a little invention of mine.
Oh? You must be quite dexterous.
Though it was the first time I had seen him this way, I sensed he always smiled when playing with machinery. What if I were to... let's do this one first. I had to wonder about the line of inventions before me, and one in particular stood out better than the rest.
Kobayashi, what might this be?
It's my all-purpose telescope. Here, have a look.
I leant forward and peered into the end of the tube before me.
Oh my!
Oh my! Well, hello. At the end of the cylinder, I could see Holmes looking stern as ever.
Then if you adjust it like this...
I heard a light clicking sound, and then the scenery at the end of the tube changed. I moved the tube just slightly.
Oh! I can see Watson!
My field of vision had been filled with the assistant's absent-minded gaze. Dang, poor Watson. He felt so close when looking through the telescope, but it was only upon looking away from it that I noticed how far he happened to be.
What are your other inventions like?
How about this?
Kobayashi presented something new, and another, and one more after that. Oh my.
Thank you very much for showing me. This is all so interesting.
Isn't it just? If I can, I'd like to show you a bit more thoroughly. I can always find time for you.
What a gentleman. Consider it done.
All right, I'll see you again in a bit.
Right. Till next time.
I waved goodbye to him before trotting off. It hadn't taken long for it to occur to me. That wasn't what I intended to do. At all.
Oops. I was meant to be asking him to join us all for lunch.
I'd gotten so caught up in all he was showing that I had lost track of everything. Worse still, he was no longer anywhere to be seen.
Dash it all. I'll have to ask later.
That was so cute, though. I knew he was going to be excited to show her. I'm glad we did that. Alright. Let's Lays about this time, just for fun. His work aside, I began to muse the idea of relaxing along the grass and soaking in the sun next to him. It wasn't as though Pendleton were present to scold me. If it isn't any bother, could I perhaps sit with you, Kobayashi?
Really? I don't mind it, but will your skirt be alright? Wanna get dirty?
A little dirt never hurt anyone. I shall give it a good rub down afterwards, and it will be good as new.
Miss Whiteley, it isn't becoming of a lady to behave in such a manner.
Well, then take off your jacket so I can sit on it if you're so concerned. Oh, nonsense! Before Akachi could finish his lecturing, I made myself comfortable. The sun's rays were an immediate warm welcome. Ah, this is bliss, and I love the smell of the grass.
Good Lord. I feel as though I'm the lone adult amongst children.
I could gradually feel my consciousness fading and my eyelids growing heavier. I don't think it would do any harm to take a cat nap.
Drat! Now is not the time, Emily.
Quite flustered, I forced myself back up. Lunch was waiting for me. How could I have forgotten? I looked at my immediate surroundings. Akachi was nowhere to be seen, and Kobayashi had fallen fast asleep next to me. Aw, where's my picture of that? I'll have to invite Kobayashi later. And I didn't get a picture of that. That would have been so cute. Alright, fine. I'll simply tell him why I'm here. Curious as I was about his inventions, I thought it best to tell him why I had approached him first, before I get distracted again. Well, I was thinking we could all have lunch together, so I came to invite you. Would you be interested? I wasn't certain why, but his initial response seemed to be bewilderment. But rather quickly, he gave me a great big smile and nodded with fervor.
Would I? Course I would! Thanks, Emily!
Not at all! We'll be waiting for you then.
I'll join the moment I can.
I waved to him with a great big smile of my own before leaving. Oh, I haven't asked Jack to come and join us yet. Everyone agreed. Alright. Call out to this boy. Don't take his hand just yet. Okay, come on. You and me, bro. Alright, we'll do just the very beginning of this when he talks about eggs, and then we'll skip again. Alright, please, have your fill. Even though he and Watson laugh at poor Lupin, I'll let Lupin have a reprieve. One by one, I'd taken out the lunchboxes from the basket Pendleton had prepared for me. Okay, so Jack's having his sandwich. Marple's having her finger stuff. There's Hudson. There we go. And of course, the two of you are welcome to try whatever catches your eye. How about these?
You know how to make Tamagoyaki?
They're very different in shape to the ones we know.
They're called omelets. What's a Tamagoyaki?
It's a dish made by beating then cooking eggs before rolling them into a rectangular shape.
In Japan, eggs are a staple of the rich and wealthy. They're not a food common people partake in every day.
Is that so?
Let's try some, Akachi!
Calm yourself. There's no need to rush. The eggs aren't going to flee the table if you don't eat them this instant.
Thanks, Emily!
I shall try some as well.
Well, what do you think?
Delicious! I love the fluffy texture. First the custard tart and now this?
I agree. The seasoning is just the right strength, I might add. The accompanying sauce complements the dish nicely.
Pendleton's cooking had found itself two more fans. I'm so pleased you like them. There's a whole other range of things to sample now, so please, sample away.
I would love to, but there's a mountain of food.
It's disrespectful not to eat all you've been offered.
And meanwhile, okay, so we're gonna skip all of that. Okay, so Akachi is helping us pack again. Always the back alley. Is there anything else I need to... Okay, no, I think we're good. Kobayashi, I can't believe you wouldn't help me pack up my picnic basket. Alright, Porlock's packing down. Alright, so, very soon. However, just as my plans were taking shape, they shifted to something else entirely.
Pardon me, my lady. 2 of your friends have come calling, and they seem to have expended no small effort in arriving.
She had the right of it. Both Watson and Kobayashi were huffing and puffing as though they had no wind in them to spare for rest. Good morning. It isn't often I see you two in each other's company. Is something the matter?
Emily! Do something about Akachi!
Emily! You've got to stop Holmes!
What? Emily! 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 They cried my name with such boyish panic that I listened eagerly for an explanation. The story was this. Holmes and Watson had been charged with investigating a series of abductions that had been staged throughout London. Akachi and Kobayashi, meanwhile, were on a leisurely tour of the city. It was a simple chance that saw the 4 of them happen upon each other.
Naturally, the abductions became a topic of conversation between detectives.
Right along with how the nobility are being ransomed for all they're worth.
It's been difficult for the Yard to obtain any solid leads despite the abductions growing in frequency. The ringleader, whoever they are, has done a clever job of covering his tracks by hiring the poor to do his dirty work. At any rate, the topic moved to whether any nearby locations were suspect.
Which then turned into which local shops had the best food.
You know the place near to here that specializes in meat pies? That was mentioned, of course. So much flavor, and practically a steal at 5 pence each.
Daydreams of cheap, savory meat pies filled our heads. And next thing we see, Holmes is eager to make a row and Akachi had his blade drawn.
The last thing we wanted was to turn a bad situation worse. They were so focused that they seemed to forget about us entirely. We didn't know what to do.
That's when I remembered you lived right around the corner.
I'm, not certain I understand why you would come to me.
Hit us like a bolt of lightning, though. If there's anyone who can sort them out, it's you.
But how?
We think, if it's no trouble, you would be better than us at peacefully stopping them before they maim each other.
Still not entirely grasping this strange affair, I told Alicia where I was going and set off. Boys. I followed the boys to the ever-bustling Kennington Road. It carried a vibrant energy that inspired smiles and exploration, but as we stepped off the main road and into an alleyway, it was as though the whole of the atmosphere turned.
There's Holmes and Akachi. This does look terrible, and it's about to get worse.
Akachi's sword howled downward, but sliced little more than air, for Holmes sidestepped the blow and made ready to plunge his fist into the foreigner's belly. Reacting with practiced haste, Akachi brought the hilt of his blade up to block Holmes' strike. But no sooner had the blow been parried than Holmes grabbed the sword's guard, twisting it in such a way as to, by means of discomfort, force his opponent to disengage. Their battle played out before my eyes, each advancing then retreating with calculated intensity.
They both look so serious about this. How could this happen?
Why would Holmes fight barehanded? Has he gone barmy?
Holmes is no amateur with his hands, but I suppose it's a bit much against the sword.
This isn't the time to be impressed. We need to stop them.
They've both backed off a few paces. Shan't have a better chance than this.
Without much in the way of forethought, I shouted, "Wait, both of you. I'm a detective." This was ludicrous. Both of them needed to stop. That is enough, you two! It worked. Holmes and Akachi stopped immediately. Haven't you heard that 2 wrongs don't make a right? I stepped between them. I don't know what happened, but fighting in an alley isn't what will solve it. You're schoolmates. Settle your differences amicably.
Fighting? This is a simple training bout.
Pardon? What do you mean?
Akachi mentioned his skill in Eastern fencing, so I wanted to see what all he's learned. I, too, was fascinated by Holmes's considerable expertise in Western martial arts, and as such had wondered if we might spar. And I must say, I'm genuinely impressed, Holmes. Your offensive stances proved quite difficult to read at times. Our match gave me much to consider.
With a flick and a twist, Akachi returned his blade to its sheath.
Likewise. Your fluid motions kept me guessing as to what your next action might be. You're a first-rate swordsman. Did you have an instructor? Indeed. My master is back in Japan.
Was I imagining things, or was there some hesitation?
And yourself? Did your boxing come from your father? The fundaments, yes. The rest I learned through expounding on the basics and experimentation. One cannot surpass another by imitation alone. It fascinates me that your father serves as your peer in detective work and your instructor in the martial arts. And yet you drive to master and refine your skills beyond the tools provided. You're a perfect model of the Western mind's dogged temperament.
Dog? Woof?
Akachi began to scribble his findings in his notebook. Kobayashi, standing beside him, appeared to be at a loss upon a word he did not quite understand.
Being dogged is something like being determined. That's in a good sense. It can also mean being so severely single-minded that it becomes a bad thing.
That's a new one.
That said, Miss Whiteley, I was no less taken aback by your recklessness. Neither of us were expecting you to step in the middle of our match.
Yes, but I didn't want either of you to hurt one another.
It was a simple sparring match. We would never do such a thing. Learning to control one's own strength is an essential element of one's studies. He speaks rightly. Your fears were misplaced, Miss Whiteley.
Nah.
You were being pretty dogged too, Emily. You were so set on stopping the fight that you damned the consequences and stepped right in the middle. That's single-minded if I've ever heard it.
Now you've got it. It's not out of the common for her to throw caution to the wind, but even I wouldn't dare to step between those two.
Neither of you are paying me a compliment, I hope you realize. Besides, this mess was due to your misunderstanding, not mine. Both grinned with wild innocence, unaware of the trouble they contributed to the scenario. If only I could share the feeling.
Well, we'd best be on our way. We have little time to spare for a case that needs lengthy investigating.
If you didn't have the time, then why spar at all?
Emily, you have to understand that some battles call out to a man's soul.
Oh yes, it isn't right to interfere in a battle between two friendly chaps, you know.
Hang it all! You said the very opposite at the mansion!
Did we? Well, the meat pies they sell at that shop over there are always a treat. I'll give you one in return for sweeping this under the rug, alright?
What? Where's my free meat pie?
Kobayashi, we've already had some together.
Oh, was hoping it slipped your mind.
How could I forget when you ate beside me?
I accepted the meat pie, at least some small token to have lent purpose to this entire episode, and bid farewell to Holmes and Watson. When did he have time to buy this? It does look delicious, but my frustration is putting a damper on my appetite.
It's best to accept gifts with grace and gratitude, Miss Whiteley. Gifts of food contain the heart of not only the giver, but those whose hands prepared it also. Letting it go to waste would be courting divine retribution.
Me? Arouse the wrath of God? I would never do such a thing.
Then you'll eat it? If you don't want it, then I do.
Only a shameful glutton would cozen food from another when he himself is well fed.
What shall I do with this meat pie? I can finally give it to this boy. Today is your day. Here you are.
Really? It's all right to have it?
I see no reason why it isn't. It's lovely to see a person enjoy London's food the way you do.
Thanks, Emily!
I handed the meat pie to Kobayashi, whose eyes glittered with joy.
Hope you don't mind if I eat it now.
Miss Whiteley, nothing good comes by indulging his every whim.
I beg your pardon, then. I rather enjoy how much he seems to like it, at least.
Oh, and I do! Shan't forget this for the rest of my life. Count on it!
Don't be silly. It's only a meat pie.
Only? No. I'll return the favor. You'll see.
Kobayashi then summarily finished off the pie in a few gulps.
Well, Kobayashi, let's be on our way.
Of course. You were touring the city, weren't you? If you would like, I can...
It is kind of you to offer, Miss Whiteley, but I can assure you we'll be fine on our own.
Will you? But you didn't let me finish what I was going to say.
I believe that rather than showing us around, you should consider how to broaden your own horizons. Sipping tea and sampling confections is an indolent waste of a perfectly useful day, is it not?
What? How did you know?
Given what I know of you, I considered how you would be most inclined to spend your time. It wasn't difficult.
But be that as it may, taking tea and cake does not constitute indolence.
He hit the nail on the head.
If I may offer a suggestion, why not salve both heart and mind by spending the day with a good book? There so happens to be a bookshop just down the road, in fact. Yes, this may be precisely the thing for one prone to leaping before she looks.
Akachi gestured in the direction of a shop a short walk away.
This country's books contain myriad expressions and opinions, many of them highly informative. To read the writing of another is to commune with them and attempt to understand them. It could rightly be considered a form of training in itself. I'm certain you will come to understand the importance of doing so.
Perhaps, but my offer still stands, Akachi. I would be delighted to show you two all there is to see.
You're a genuine soul, to be sure. Your offer is appreciated, but we must decline. It's only by viewing with our own eyes, going where intuition leads us, that we shall be able to learn more.
Very well, then. It was a polite refusal, yes, but still a refusal. My reaction must have shown on me, for Kobayashi piped up to soften his partner's words.
He may not sound it, but he's tickled pink because of you.
I am not!
Akachi! The detective turned and left with a flush to his cheeks.
Ah! Wait for me, Akachi! The nerve! I've got no clue what goes on in that head on his. Hope he hasn't been a bother, Emily.
He hasn't. Not at all. I fear more that he finds me too unreliable. He once scolded me for sleeping during lessons. What if, to his estimation, I was not one to be relied upon? What if, just what if, I amounted to very little in his eyes?
Doubtful. He does love to give a good tongue lashing, but it's more about him than the other person. It's in his nature to be stubborn, you see. He can't bring himself to admit that he doesn't want to impose on you.
Is that truly all?
You'll see it yourself with more time. He's an agreeable sort once you get to know him.
I was then left behind with a smile and a chipper goodbye. When alone, the botherings that struck me imposed twice as much than they did when I was with company. The fact still remains. I am unreliable to him. I should very much like for Akachi to accept me kindly. I know he's as agreeable as Kobayashi said. Akachi's diligence was something to be admired, but it could also be seen as a curse. It was born out of an obsession with being perfect, which, no matter the strain it placed on his back, meant carrying the full weight of his burden. It was my hope that I could be someone worthy of sharing that weight. Hope is nothing without action. I must put in the work if I want him to come to rely on me. The first step would be to visit the bookshop Akachi recommended. Alright, so she helps this gentleman and then almost gets herself kidnapped. Very soon. Okay, our boy comes and saves us again. Alright, and then our other boy should be coming in soon. There it is.
Hi, Emily! There you are!
Hello again, Kobayashi. What a coincidence to see you so soon. Akachi was just...
He was here?
Just a moment ago. A carriage arrived to pick him up.
I knew it! He let himself be abducted!
Abducted? What? What do you mean? But he arrived only as I was about to board. Is he playing the hostage in my stead?
That ass! He always tells me not to do anything without speaking to him first, but he can't do the same for me. What's that? A suspicious chap has caught his eye. Off he goes in the blink of an eye. Yes, let's forget everything he's told me. Come on, Emily. We're going after him. I'll give you the details later.
All right.
My apologies for disturbing you when you are clearly occupied, my lady. Alicia apprised me on your whereabouts, so here I am. I see, however, that you are in the midst of something or other.
I might have turned tail to avoid Pendleton due to the lectures that would no doubt follow in his wake, but his appearance just then could not have pleased me more. Pendleton! Your timing is perfect. Lend us that carriage.
I was hoping you'd furnish me with an explanation before all else, but time does seem to be of the essence. If you must, please, mind your step. The ride may be a bit rough, so do hold on tightly or you may bump your head.
We set off that very instant in pursuit of Akachi.